In this video, we'll be taking a look at the big PlayStation 4 game releases in February and giving you input on which ones you should have your eyes on and buy, and which ones you'd probably be better off holding out on or waiting for a sale. Now, of course, this is pre-release with all of these titles, so keep your eyes on reviews that may impact your decision. With that being said, let's get right into this, and we'll start off with the titles that are probably buys. First up, we have the Shadow of the Colossus remake. Now, this is an easy buy because we've already played Shadow of the Colossus, and the early reviews for the title are already out, and it's sitting at a very impressive 92 on Metacritic, one of the highest rated PlayStation 4 games ever. If you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, this is the time to do so. The PlayStation 4 version looks incredible, and it's not just an HD remastering like you see with a lot of other games. This is a ground up remake on the PlayStation 4, and visually it looks absolutely stunning. Major issue with Shadow of the Colossus was on the technical side, so now on the PlayStation 4 that should be remedied, and all of the elements that made us love Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 2 look to have been retained. And if you are playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro, you can either play the game at 1080p 60 FPS or you can play the game at 4K, so even more incentive to buy the title if you are a Pro owner. Best of all, Shadow of the Colossus is releasing at a more budget $40 price point. Now, it is a remake, so if they were to charge $60 for the game, I would say stay away from it, but at $40, considering this is a ground up remake for the PlayStation 4, I would say that's a very good price. And of course, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get 20% off. Get the game for $32, I would say that's a very easy buy. Moving on, Dynasty Warriors 9. This might surprise a lot of you gamers, but if you have your eyes on Dynasty Warriors and you're a fan of these styles of games, I would say that Dynasty Warriors 9 is a buy. Now, if you've never been a fan of the hack and slash Dynasty Warrior games, Dynasty Warriors 9 is probably not going to change your mind. However, it is improving upon its predecessors in major ways. Dynasty Warriors 9 is following suit with many game franchises in that it's moving into an open world format. A lot of games these days, even if they were linear in the past, they have moved to an open world setting. Look at Metal Gear Solid with Metal Gear Solid 5. While it doesn't mean it'll instantly be a better game, it definitely adds a new layer to what many would consider to be a stale franchise. But Dynasty Warriors 9 looks to have a lot of nuances and depth to its gameplay. Again, if you're not a fan of the series, Dynasty Warriors 9 probably isn't a buy, but if you've been a fan of the series, and considering the fact that Tecmo Koei games usually retain their value for quite a while, buying this at full price is probably the right call. And for Dynasty Warriors fans, it looks pretty good. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now, this is one I want to say buy without a doubt, but it is a very ambitious game. Warhorse has been working on it for quite a while, so before you pre-order the game right away, I would say wait for the reviews, see how the reviews pan out. But this is a game that does have potential to be one of the big hits of 2018. It's an open world RPG set in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia. Gotta focus on realistic and historically accurate content, and there is an incredible attention to detail in this game. Again, it's a very ambitious project, and with games like this, they could either deliver and be really great, or they could fall short of expectations. With Kingdom Come Deliverance, if all turns out well, this is an absolute buy, but again, I would say wait for the reviews, see how this one turns out, but I do have hope that this turns out to be one of the best RPGs of the year.
Present. Watch that one. Yes. After them. Take that. Yeah. Cut them up.
And finally, for the buys, FE. FE is an action-adventure game being published by EA that nobody is really talking about. In the game, you play as a fox-like creature within a forest that is highly responsive to the songs of the creatures and plants within it. The forest creatures are suddenly attacked for unknown reasons. You get the idea. It's a very artistic game, and it gives me vibes of Ori and the Blind Forest, and that game was incredible. So FE is shaping up to be one of the sleeper hits of February. Make sure it's on your radar, and it's been compared to titles such as Journey and Shadow of the Colossus because it gives the player more freedom in how to approach the gameplay, and it doesn't really guide you all the way, hold your hand all that much. It's also seen comparisons to Metroid and Zelda from its game design. Now, these are some top tier games it's being compared to, and we saw titles like Rime being compared to a lot of top tier titles, and it didn't live up to quite that level. However, even if FE falls short of that just by a little bit, it still looks to be a really solid game, and it is releasing at $20 as a downloadable title, so one to keep your eyes on.
That's how the story goes. The story of the beast with those four dirty paws. To fly and to fly.
Now moving on, these are a couple titles that I would say you should wait on for a sale. Again, familiarize yourself with the reviews and whatnot closer to the game's release, but just knowing what I know, some of these games are remakes, and based on how these games are priced, you might be better off waiting a little while to pick up some of these. First up, we have Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Now, Sword Art Online has been one of the more popular anime in the world. It's actually resonated pretty well over here in the West, and we've seen a couple of Sword Art Online games be released. However, they didn't turn out all too well. They were competent enough RPGs, however, they did suffer from several translation issues, and the content was rather bare bones. Now, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet looks like it has a lot of potential. It is taking place in Gun Gale Online, which, if you're not familiar with Sword Art Online, it takes place in more of a gun-centric world, and they still use swords and whatnot, but the gameplay actually looks solid. Visually, it looks good. However, with the game releasing at a hefty $60 price point, and because the other Sword Art Online games haven't blown us away, I would say keep your eyes on this, especially if you are a fan of Sword Art. However, down the line, if you can find this for $35 or $40, that's probably going to be the price to jump in. Another wait for sale has to be Metal Gear Survive. Now, it is actually releasing at a more budget price point of $40, so that's nice. However, this isn't your typical Metal Gear game. Kojima is gone from Konami, and as the title would suggest, this is a more survival-style Metal Gear game. So far, what we've seen hasn't looked that great, but it is an interesting enough title that's worth keeping your eyes on and seeing how it turns on, especially just with the Metal Gear name, and now moving on from Kojima, seeing how a Metal Gear title turns out. With Konami's leadership, that'll be interesting nonetheless, but considering all of those variables that I just mentioned, Metal Gear Survive is probably a title you want to stay away from until you see the reviews and probably until a discount. I could see this title being $20 rather quickly because there isn't that much hype surrounding it, and honestly, I see this game commercially not performing up to par, so if I would have to make a prediction, I see this one being discounted rather quickly. That's why I would say wait for a sale on this one. Moving on, Owlboy. Now, I was actually contemplating whether or not to put Owlboy on here because it's a great game. It's already available on PC, and it's an awesome platforming adventure game. It was in development for a very long time, going back to 2007, and it was released in November 2016. And if you have a PC, I would say get Owlboy on there because you could probably find it at a cheaper price. However, the regular value of Owlboy on Steam is $25, and I would assume it's going to be released for the same price on PlayStation 4. And yes, it is a great game, but $25 is a little bit of a hefty price point. If you wait out on a sale and you can find it for say $10 to $15, that would be a great buy, but $25 is a little bit steep. Now, this is just a case of the pricing holding me back a little bit, especially considering how many great games we have in February. Owlboy is an older title that's just making its way over to the PlayStation 4. If it's priced around $25, I would say just wait on a sale. Definitely a game you want to check out at some point because it is great, but just a little bit too steep of a price point to start out. And finally, Secret of Mana. Now, this is another one that, just like Owlboy, I'm just saying wait for a sale because of the pricing. It is releasing at $40, and I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, Shadow of the Colossus is a remake and it's coming out at $40. I don't know on that regard. Shadow of the Colossus is a PlayStation 2 title. Secret of Mana is a Super Nintendo title that is being remade from the ground up. It does have full 3D visuals, so that's really nice. And just like Owlboy, this was on the borderline of being a buy title, and I do have to mention that if you are the type that you want all your games physical and you are more of a game collector, the physical version of Secret of Mana is only available at GameStop, and I don't know how stock is gonna be with the physical version of the game. So if that is something you are adamant about, I would say buy Secret of Mana right away. Get that physical copy and don't blame me on that fact. However, on the digital front, I would have liked to see it being priced at $30. I think that would have been a much more palatable price point, especially considering if you do have Amazon Prime, over on Amazon you can get Shadow of the Colossus $32 as a a pre-order. Same thing if you're a Gamers Club Unlocked member over at Best Buy. Secret of Mana, with the fact being that it's only available at GameStop physically, you have to pay that $40 price point, or you go the digital route, which again, you have to pay that $40. And for that price, I do think it's a little bit steep, but I do see it going on sale at some point. And when it's $25, $30, that would be a great time to check out this game. And if you're a fan of JRPGs like me, I would say buy it at $40. It's a great game. I'm just trying to come at it from an unbiased point of view, and at $40, it is a little bit too pricey. Still a great game nonetheless.
What's a sword doing here? I don't think I would have made it here without you two.
So that is gonna wrap up this video. To go over it once again, I would say buy Shadow of the Colossus, buy Dynasty Warriors 9 if you're a fan of the Dynasty Warriors games. This one is changing up a little bit. Kingdom Come Deliverance, wait for the reviews because it is a very ambitious project and it's been in development for a while, and sometimes you know how these games turn out, but it has a lot of promise and I could see it being one of the best RPGs of 2018. So that's one to keep your eyes on. FE is a game that you have to keep on your radar. It's $20, brand new title, and it looks really good. As far as games that I would pass on for the time being, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet looks pretty good. $60 in my opinion is too hefty of a price point for that title, especially considering the last few Sword Art games haven't been amazing. But again, this one looks better from a gameplay standpoint, and it is one to keep your eyes on, and when it is available for $35 or $40, I would say buy it. Metal Gear Survive, as I mentioned, just too many variables going into that one. Yes, it is a budget title at $40. Wait out on Metal Gear Survive. If my prediction is correct and it doesn't commercially perform up to par, you could see that going on sale pretty quickly. Owlboy's a great game, but if it releases at $25 on PlayStation 4, I would say stay away from it for the time being. If you have a PC and you can pick up Owlboy at a discounted price, by all means check it out. And with Secret of Mana, for the reasons I mentioned, I would say wait a little bit for the game to be discounted. However, if you do want the game physically, because it's only available at GameStop and I don't know how the stock is going to be with the physical version, that might be something to buy right away if you really do want the physical version of the game. So that is going to conclude this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Of course, this is just one man's opinion. I would love to hear what you guys think. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.